Good afternoon, everyone. I'm gonna try and start sharing my screen. If the organizers could let me do so. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to welcome you to this session called Organizing the Europlanet Outreach and Education Community from Global to Local Scales. This session is a continuation of the talks we had this morning. First, the first interactive session that you probably saw, and also the session which I attended, which was about the regional hubs and their roles in the future of Europlanet. This will be a collaborative session to gather input from you to help steer the outreach activities of Europlanet. As Nigel said this morning, you take over this week, and we are expecting to get plenty of inputs from you today. So what we want to do today is part of an ongoing challenge of trying to find ways to sustain the community around the different activities and services of Europlanet, and this one is dedicated to the outreach and education community. We will be asking for your input in order to assess priorities, collect recommendations, and create a task force. This is what Anita presented earlier this morning about the different challenges that we have for you this week. And the overarching theme is the sustainable community services, mentoring, training, expert exchange, outreach, etc. Before we start, I want to remind everyone that this will be a mural interactive session. You will be able to interact and participate directly on this magnificent template that we've created on your laptop or on your phone. If you are using your phone, you need to download the Mural app first. You don't need to sign in, it's free. If it asks you to sign in, you don't need to do so, but once the app is installed, you can flash the QR code or use a link, and your phone will automatically ask you if you want to use the Mural app, and this way you can interact on the template. Mural is extremely easy to use, so you will be able to navigate directly just like in Google Maps with your phone or with your computer, and you will be able to use sticky notes. That's what we want you to do today in different areas on the workspace. You will add sticky notes with comments and with ideas and questions, etc. And that way we can gather input in a kind of structured way and archive it for later use. To join this mural, here is the QR code you can use, and I will also add in the Whova chat right now. You have the link, sorry, and I will try and use also the chat. I'm not sure if I have access to it, sorry. Here we go. Give me a second, copy link. It's also in the WebEx chat for people who are joining online. You can click on the link and you will be able to come on this template and explore it yourselves. So to start, what we will do is that we will do a bit of presentation. So here, I'll ask people to follow me. And here you see that I have listed the names of the moderators. So Thibaut, who is in the room and who will be helping you get around with everything and collect your questions too. And me, Ulysse Pedrea Segade, I'm here online. And we have also co-conveners who helped craft the session. And I really thank them for all their interesting input to prepare this session. You see here that there is a participant also sticky notes, like big chart, sorry, with sticky notes. You can click on one of the sticky notes and add your name and affiliation. This way we can keep track of who's there, and that's a great way to know who's joining us today. If you want to start doing that and see if everything is working, that would be great.
conference centre here just at the moment, so just the online participation is a little bit challenging, but I'm sure we will get there eventually, and at least we have the link. And it's not just about this session, it's more generally about starting the conversation. So if you can't do it now, then please follow up later.
Yeah, I see that people are clicking on things, so hopefully it will be working in a minute. You can continue do that, and I will just make sure that you have the opportunity to do so. But so the agenda today is pretty packed, and we'll see what we can do. No pressure, really. It's structured so that you can give ideas, and the mural will be available for the rest of the day for you to give ideas on it. So no pressure if you don't have much time to do everything by the end of the session. But we will start by presenting the Europlanet outreach activities to you. And for that, we have 3 speakers today, and I will talk about them in a few minutes. After that, I will ask you to share your ideas regarding Europlanet outreach activities, what you know of them, what is your experience with them, etc. I'll do a bit of reporting, and I have shared a survey with external collaborators or partners, and we will compare their experience with Europlanet with yours and see what they have to say. And after that, we will really talk about the future of the outreach community and try to think about the core values that are driving the community, the ones that should drive the community, the goals for the future of the community at several time points, and then talk about the actions and recommendations you have before concluding and calling to action. The ground rules to use during this session and to use Mural is that your help is really valuable to us. We really need your attention. Be present, don't multitask, please, and try to bring your input as much as possible here. Be respectful and inclusive and welcome other points of view. There are no dumb ideas. You can share your thoughts and don't judge others and they won't judge you. Embrace mess, be adaptive. This is an online tool that not everyone is able to use on the same level. So we'll see what happens with that. It's really a test too. And if we have enough time to have questions and discuss all these, please listen to others when they speak, avoid centering the conversation on you and open the floors to others. And of course, have fun because this is, after all, a creativity challenge and an exploration of new possibilities. So we will start with what is the Europlanet outreach community like these days. And for that, we have 3 speakers today. So we have Didier Moreau, who is the industrial officer for the Benelux Hub and the treasurer for the Europlanet Society. Anita, I don't know if I need to present Anita, but Anita Iwardu is the press and outreach officer at Europlanet Research Infrastructure, among other things that she's doing for the community, and Federica Duras, who is the outreach officer at Europlanet RI and the chair of the Europlanet Outreach Working Group. So maybe we can have Didier starting to talk to us about how the outreach community is structured in the different structures of Europlanet, society, RI, etc. So Didier, if you want, the floor is yours. I'll go back there for people who want to join the mural.
Oh, sorry. It should be there. The presentation should be.
Thank you. Well, I can.
Can we share the screens? Slides. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Yolis, for the invitation, but I'm really not a professional of communication and outreach. Then I can speak about my experience the last 10, 15 years because I was working in different domains, science, operational, and with 4 different organisms. Can you put this again?
If you click, maybe aim it at the computer.
Hmm?
I think it's the second one down, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
No.
No?
Okay, I will continue like this.
I can do it. I can do it. There we go. Okay. Okay.
No, that's not my presentation on the screen. No. Oh, yes. Sorry. Because it's like this, I don't have a good view. Okay, then I will speak about my experience. Then.
If it'd be easier, we can
Yeah.
give you a handheld mic and then you can look. Okay.
Okay. Then, as I said, I'm not a professional for outreach and communication, but okay, I had to deal with in my previous career. Then what I realized the last 10, 15 days that we have the emergence of what we call astroexobiology, which was a multidisciplinary connection between different scientific communities. And at that time, I realized that outreach and communication has to be increased because we were working with different scientific communities, speaking different language, with different objective, and exobiology was like a cosmogony in previous year. Then the problem we had, because we saw emergence of astrobiology institute virtually, physically, and one of the main things that we wanted to do at the political level was to try to bring young people in science, because in my country and the limit of countries, we have a decrease of people who wanted to make a scientific study. Then we use this new approach of science, multidisciplinary approach, and then we developed and we saw the development of demand for this outreach and communication. The problem we have, the challenge is that if we want to really develop communication and outreach, we are confronted to different country with different language, with different cultural approach, different way for working. That is a very big challenge we have here now at Europlanet. It's try to mitigate everything and to try to find the best way to effectively integrate everybody to a common politics for outreach and communication. At the Europlanet Society level, I'm here not since a long time in this big organization, but we have effectively the regional hub who has a key role to play for the communication and outreach, depending also what type of public we want to reach also at the regional level. And so that's something that we have to discuss in the future. What is the target, the public target that we want to touch? All this business in Europlanet has to be done with a small amount of funding for the moment. Then we have to keep in mind that we have for the moment a closed envelope for money for that. Then we need to find a way to sustain this activity at what level, and that's I hope at the end of this week we will have some guideline in the future. But outreach and communication for me, it's the key point for all the future business of Europlanet. We will have a discussion on the sustainability of Europlanet in the coming days, and we had some approach. As already said in the morning, we create a new association, which is tools for Europlanet Society, and then we have there in our hand something that we can use probably to enter a project to create income of money, but that's a matter of discussion we will have at the end of this week. Importance of outreach also, it's at the project level. So in my current activity at the Spaceport in Brussels, I am working to find money and fund for my colleagues. We we have a big spectrum of scientific approach. We have a meteorological, an observatory, and an institute for aeronomy and planetology, which is led by Anne-Karine. And what I saw in the different source of funding, national, regional in Belgium, or international, like in the ESA or in a different space agency, is that now they push a lot to have a work package on outreach and communication. This is really now a very important thing to approach to introduce in project, because it's one of the criteria of selection of the funding. And it's really important also, for example, at the national level in Belgium, this is a key point. We need to develop and to show to the politician that we will have a feedback toward the public and to try to valorize the money that we invest in the space science. Then we did this, okay, this working group in outreach is really important, even to get to be selected in different projects of different space agency and so on. And I realized that it's really, really important. And for example, for Horizon Europe in the European Committee, you don't have only the ERI project. There are a lot of projects, and then we can probably also with the association go through projects which are really focused on outreach communication. There are some projects typically dedicated to that. That I'm sorry, that's only my experience. I just want to highlight that this is important, and I'm really sure that Europlanet has a role to play in the future through the association to give support to all people who want to enter a proposal and to try to use all the job that was done in Europlanet and the tools developed to really give the best support for people from emerging country or other to succeed to have project in funded by European Commission, but not only space agency also, and not only in Europe. We have also we are pan-European structure, and then we have a connection with India, with other things, and then other countries that we have a key role to play for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Didier. Now, Anita, maybe you have a few words that you want to say too.
I have, sorry, Didier, Ulysse, even. I'm just finding the right file. It dates back right to the beginning of the project. So even before I got involved in the project, outreach was a core part of it. And the original Europlanet project and proposal that was led by Jean-Pierre Le Breton and John Zanecki. And then we had, I think, an initial workshop in Toulouse in 2005 or 2006. And were you there, Olivia? No, Eleni was there, I think, and there were a few of us around that are still going since then. And I think the core thing really hasn't changed much ever since, in that throughout the projects, and one of the things about Europlanet is in all of the funded projects, in all of the EU funded projects, as Didier says, there has been always, back to 2005, there has always been a recognition that outreach and engaging with the wider public is really important. We are funded by public funding. We have a responsibility to tell people what we're doing in ways that they find engaging and interesting and understandable, so that they know how their money is being spent. They are our stakeholders. We are responsible to the public, and so we have a responsibility to do that. And in every project, about 10% of Europlanet budget, so in the original networking activity, in Europlanet research infrastructure, 2020 research infrastructure, 2024 research infrastructure, about 10% of the budget has been spent on engagement with stakeholders. That's not necessarily outreach, that's also engagement with industry, engagement with policy, broader communications, but that outreach falls within that envelope, and it has always been very well supported by coordinators, Nigel, before him, Michel Blanc, and we're very grateful for that. However, even within that, and certainly within the society, we have a very small team. We don't have full-time people. At the best, we have 1 or 2 days a week of people kind of stacked together. A lot of that is voluntary, and so we can't do everything, but also we wouldn't want to do everything. I mean, even big agencies, even ESA, and actually even if you talk to NASA about really what they think about their outreach activities, they're not necessarily achieving what they would like to do, because it's just so hard. Even in the States, where they have common languages, there are still curricular differences and so on. Here in Europe, there are so many countries, there are so many regions within countries, there are so many curricula within countries, there are cultural differences, there are different attitudes towards science, there are many, many, many things. There are different communities, there's different levels of engagement with planetary science. So we've got all of these different variables. And also outreach providers, and there are many in this room, tend to be individuals and tend to be individualists. They tend to like doing their own thing. And that's a good thing, because they tend to be creative people, good communicators. But it's very, anybody that's had to deliver somebody else's slides knows how challenging that can be. Trying to tell somebody else's story is really difficult. And communication works best when it's person to person, when it's something that you feel strongly about and you know something about, and you feel confident about presenting, and the questions that you might get asked, get to put that over to somebody else. So it's quite challenging coming up with a one-size-fits-all thing. So our outreach strategy has been very much, right from the beginning, to support the community, you guys, to use your own knowledge, your own expertise to support your own local communities, because you're the ones who knows them, the communities, you're the ones who knows what works and what doesn't work. So we can't do that centrally, and we wouldn't want to do that centrally, and it has to work at a grassroots level. So the way that we've tried to do these are to have a certain range of tools. One of these tools is the prize. The prize and the funding scheme date back to 2010. We've been running these for 13 years now. And the prize we initially launched because we felt that many people, and the feedback we got particularly from early careers, is that there's still a lot of skepticism within the academic community that outreach is something that's fuzzy, it's not really important, it's a waste of time and resources that should be spent on research. Now, within the Europlanet community, and as I say, we've had from the management, from all of the work packages involved, we've had that buy-in that we've been able to dedicate, reasonable amounts of support towards that. But we want to make sure that within the community, outreach is recognised as something that we value. So we introduced a prize in 2010, which is a cash prize. I think the current cash prize is €1,500. And we also support people to come to EPSC, to come to our annual meeting, to present that to the community, to be highlighted in plenary sessions, so that we are recognizing that outreach and education are things that we feel really passionate and strongly about. So you can't, it is not separate from science, it is part of the scientific remit and responsibility. We also have a funding scheme to support innovation, and this has been really interesting. We've been running this since 2010, and up until recently, we ran this for in the scale of sort of 5 to 15,000 euros, and we largely ran this through the EU funded projects. And I really shouldn't say this because we're being recorded, but we put this into the current project, and then all of a sudden the EC noticed that we were doing it. In fact, it's not that they noticed it, because they knew all about it, because we had it as one of our great impact things, and we had lots of web stories that came out, and they even kind of published their own stories about it on Cordis. But all of a sudden somebody noticed that it's not in the rules. We're not actually allowed to award grants like that through Horizon 2020, so we had to stop and change. So we still feel passionately that this is the right thing to do, to support grants to you guys, to communities, to enable seed funding so that you can start ideas and do your own activities. The scale has got a lot more limited over the past couple of years because we're relying on society funding or sponsorship. So we're now kind of looking at, you know, whereas we had sort of 2-3 projects of 5 to 15,000 euros, now we're having 1 or 2 of 1 to 5,000 euros. However, nonetheless, we do know that these projects have value in the community. It's not always what people write in the proposal. In fact, it's probably more likely almost always not what people write in the proposal. And we had a really great session in 2018 where we brought back everybody that had been funded to date and got them to tell us what they'd done. And in a lot of cases, they said, well, we took the money and we didn't do what we said we were going to do. However, and there was always a however, they did something else fantastic. And, you know, we had one who was going to do a computer game about a Mars rover. They didn't do that, but they did start to build a physical facility and use the money to help them develop gaming things. And now they've got an enormous great facility in Poland. The virtual space microscope is another one. Planets in a Room that Livia and Federica will tell you all about. There have been many, many, many success stories. So little bits of money can go a long way. But only with the imagination and the creativity of you guys and the community, because you're the ones who have the ideas and know what kind of works. We try and provide training. So we have run science communication workshops. Some of you have been to summer schools in Lithuania, where we've combined observational astronomy and science communication in the afternoon. And that's been great because it has both engaged the science community and possibly people that wouldn't necessarily do outreach communities, and also we've had educators who've come along and also sort of joined in that scientific process and had that experience too that they can take back to their classroom. So that's been great. We've run webinars, and we've at EPSC we've recorded things and put those online as much as possible. And there's a lot of stuff and a lot of content there that we need to talk about how we make better use of. And then we have some resources, some level of resources, and these have been sort of fairly small scale. We've worked with AstroEdu in the past to try and collate collections of existing resources, kind of get them up to scratch so that they're as good as they can be. In this project, we've had small collections relating to our facilities and field sites. We've also done things where we've identified a gap in the community of a tool that they need, like the evaluation toolkit. Everybody knows that they have to do evaluation, but don't really know how to go about it. So we got 2 evaluators, Jen DeWitt and Karen Bultitude, who put together this pack of resources. And there are some packs, physical packs of evaluation toolkits at the back of the room, I believe. Yes, I think. And yeah, good. We have them, but also online. If you look at the Europlanet website, you can also find the evaluation toolkit. And the final thing, I'm really sorry, Elise, I've whittled on much longer than you told me than my time slot. But the other thing that we can do is sometimes act as a neutral party. So, for instance, in Mars Sample Return, where you've got many agencies, you've got ESA, you've got NASA, you've got JAXA, you've got people who have corporate hats on, for whom collaboration can be difficult. we have found that there is some value in being just Europlanet that can then engage with these people, agencies. We don't have those constraints of having to get everything through multiple layers of things. And so, for example, we're now creating a virtual exhibition on Mars Sample Return, which is being put together by the Natural History Museum, and we're getting input from those researchers at ESA, NASA, and so on. So they can contribute to it, but it's not their thing, but it's something that everybody in the international community can buy into, we hope. So that's, sorry, that was me. And now Federica.
Maybe I will start without the slides because we are running out of time. So my name is Federica Duras, and I'm here to represent the outreach activities of Europlanet because I'm happily leading the outreach working group for 2 years, the last 2 years. So why do we need to do outreach? So Anita gave us a vision of why we need to do outreach activities and to communicate our outreach activities. So I don't want to bore you with these reasons. Just let me say that we have the duty to communicate to people about science, to make people touch science, to make people hear about science. And Europlanet has a lot of channels to make this. So this morning, in the past session we had, which was about hubs, we saw that the hubs are potentially the place where we can make outreach activities, generate outreach activities, and communicate outreach activities. So my first message is for the outreach chairs, of course, but also all the outreach and not outreach people involved within the hubs, because you have the potentiality to communicate and to make outreach activities in the hubs, and then relate the outreach activities you are doing in your hubs with the other hubs. Because one of the main problems that we feel in the Italian hubs, and I can bet that it's the same problem in the other hubs, is that we make a lot of things, but we do not know about the other hubs things. So maybe we can just relate, talk with each other. You can come to me and ask me about what's Planet in a Room. I want Planet in a Room in my hub, for example. And you can say to me, I have this toolkit, do you know it? Can you use it? Could potentially be interesting for your hub. So please speak to each other during this week, because I think that it could be useful. So this is a list of very few activities in the hubs in the very recent past years. The first example is Planets in a Room, which is from the Italian hub, and as Anita said, won the Europlanet funding scheme a few years ago in 2017. So maybe you saw Planets in a Room, or you are using Planets in a Room in your hubs. I know that. We had a workshop about Planets in a Room, but if you don't know Planets in a Room and you want to know the potentiality of Planets in a Room, or the potentiality of winning such a funding, or to build something of your own that you think it could help in spreading outreach, then please apply to these calls and fundings about Europlanet. And then, yes, we have 2 other very diverse examples, because yeah, you can make everything you want and you think it's useful using outreach, using your ideas. So we have the Soapbox Science in Brussels, and we have the Togo Under the Stars from the French hub. And so very, very diverse ideas, but very innovative ideas. Okay, thank you. So this slide is about the outreach activities at the Europlanet Congress, Science Congress. These activities have been running for the past years, and very successfully running for the past years. So we have the Europlanet Goes Live for Schools, The last year it was amazing because we actually went to the schools, so it was not virtual anymore, but we went to the school and we tried to manage lessons in Spanish, Italian, English, or a mix of language. So it was very, 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 very nice and very, very useful for students, for teachers. And we had requests from teachers about the outreach activities we are doing within Europlanet. So it's a way to make also the youngest people aware about science. Then we have a challenge, a contest, which is inspired by other words, which is running every year and is open almost to everybody who wants to participate and wants to describe the universe and the space in using art. We have Wiki Editathon, and Arianna is here. If you can raise your hand. If you have questions about Wiki Editathon, which is dedicated to diversity, please go to Arianna and ask her. Then another contest, which is Planetary Science for All, which is about a video, about telling your space, your research story using a very brief video. It's a 4-minute video. And then last but not least, the collaboration with BIG, we told about this point this morning, which is the collaboration with BIG, companies association. In this case, it's NASA. So we have the Observe the Moon Night event, which is actually is very new because we did it for 2 years. And it's about the Observe the Moon Night event organized by NASA. And so in the last 2 years, we helped them in spreading the voice, making videos, animations, and trying to make people know about how do you observe the moon, how can you know more about the moon, and so on. Okay, the last one. Okay, and the last one is much more about Europlanet and not only about the Congress. So Anita and even myself just talked about the prize and fundings. So just spend a few words about the educational resources. Anita mentioned the educational resources that we have. So we have two series of educational resources. The first one is about the Martian collection. And the very last one, which is a very new one, is about the icy moons resources. So I like to say that these resources have a very high potentiality because they can reach almost every country in Europe, because we have translated and we are still translating these resources in more and more languages. So we have these resources in English, French, Spanish, German. We are trying to add translations about these resources. And then the most important part for me is the outreach activities at a collaborative level. What does it mean? It means that we know that Europlanet is about collaboration, so we need to collaborate each other. So here I put 2 examples of collaborative outreach. The first one is about the live events. This example is about a live event we did in Italy for the eclipse. And we used the support of the Europlanet Telescope Network. So it's not about outreach, I know it's about a telescope network, but this example is to make you aware that you can use all the Europlanet tools also to make outreach. So in this case, we used the Europlanet Telescope Network to make people aware about the astronomical event, so the eclipse. And it was great because we can saw and observe the moon from Italy, from Lithuania, from Estonia, and so on. It was a very nice event. And then the second example is the participation in international events. So Europlanet, a few months ago, 1 month ago maybe, Jean-David, went to this nice festival in Switzerland. It was a huge success, and you can see here, for example, Planets in a Room, but the Europlanet stand with people coming and asking for Europlanet outreach activities and Europlanet activities in general. So this is the presence of outreach activities. And now my question for you, what's the future about outreach activities? So thanks.
Right, are we able to hand back to Elise and...
Yes, sorry, I was still locked as a participant. I'm back. All right, thank you very much for your extensive presentations. I hope this gave a bit of an idea of what the outreach activities have been, what the strategy has been, and how the outreach community is linked to the rest of the society and RI. So I'll share again my screen, and we'll go back to the mural. If everyone can get back to the mural, and we'll start getting your input. Can I have the rights to share my screen, please? In the meantime, you can find again the links in the chats, Whova or WebEx. And here you also have the QR code. I just want to remind people that if you don't have any devices that connect to Mural, just say hello to your neighbor and maybe use their device collaboratively. And you can add sticky notes with your ideas using the device of someone else. So feel free to do so. Here is the QR code again. All right, so now that you have this picture in mind and maybe with your own experiences with outreach activities, I would like to get to the first exercise for everyone. So we are going to collect a bit of ideas from you. So first thing is here. So we'd like to understand what resources or activities from Europlanet you are familiar with. And here you see a very basic matrix where you can say how often you use the resources and activities and what is the quality or usefulness of these resources. So if I was to give you an example, I've been working on the Mars collection, for instance, so I'll put it here with my sticky notes that I can move around afterwards if I'm not really happy with where it is in the space. And I can write over there, Mars collection, and I can put my name on the sticky note so that I know who gave this answer. You can leave it anonymous if you don't want to put your name. That's not an issue at all. And so please just get a few minutes to add your own ideas over there so that we get to know what you think and what you know of the activities. People in the chat, you can do so too. And yeah, I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Don't hesitate to talk with each other too if you want to get the inputs from your neighbors at the same time. And if you have any questions, of course, raise your hand or write in the chat, and we'll try to answer those questions as we go. I see plenty of sticky notes already. That's really great. Keep them going.
Can I just ask people here? How are you having problems with the internet? Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Would it be easier if we use the flip chart and some analog sticky notes for a minute, or are you happy sticking with the with the mural? What would you prefer to do? Are you're doing all right with your phones, or?
Anita, is the internet okay with everyone then?
We are trying to solve it.
Okay.
It's a bit shaky, Ulysse, so I was just gonna, we have a flip chart, so I was just gonna create a thing just in case people would prefer to do that.
Sure.
Okay.
And also, please keep in mind that this link will be accessible for at least until tomorrow. I can also extend that, so we can have it for up until the end of the week if we want to. And you will be free to continue populating the mural with your ideas, and we will collect it at the end of the week. It's just for you to see the structure, so you can also structure the way you have your conversation by the end of the week. Good. I see plenty of sticky notes on the high quality and high usefulness of the resources and activities. That's good. Although some of them are used pretty rarely.
If you would prefer,
Ulysse, can you put the QR code back again for a second?
Sure, I can do that. And if you want to use the charts in the room, that's okay too. I will just need someone to copy them afterwards on the mural, so we can archive everything at the same place. Is everything good online? You can answer in the chat. Okay. Nice. Excellent. Okay. Because we are running a bit late, I will ask you the next few questions, but feel free to just continue populating. You can move freely on the mural, so you can choose what you want to do. So this one is about the goals of the outreach community. Are the outreach strategy and goals clear to you? And is the relevant information easy to access? So here it's a matrix again, where you will see clear strategy and goals with easy or not easy to access, and unclear strategy and goals with not easy or easy to access. You can put your sticky notes in the area that you feel is appropriate to your own experience, and you can add any comments in the sticky notes if you want to. Okay. It's good, good. And if at any point you want to ask a question or discuss something briefly, we can do that. I suggest we do it after this part about your experience, but if you have any questions at any point, you can do so. Ask. Let's see. Nice. Okay, so this is really just to collect your experience. So the next question, and again, you can move freely on the mural, so you can answer at your own pace. If you wish to take an active role in Europlanet outreach activities, is it clear to you how you could contribute to the community? And again, you have two areas here. You have yes and no, so you can add your sticky note on the side that feels appropriate for you, and you can add any comments you want on the sticky note. So regarding the strategy and goals, I see a lot of clear strategy and goals, but not necessarily easy to access or understand. So that's an important input we have here. We need more clarity, probably. And I'll finish that part with the last question, which is, would you say that the outreach structure and interfaces in the community are working well for you and the community itself? By structure and interfaces here, we include all the networking that you can do, talking with actual people through email, etc., the web page, working groups, hubs, social media, conferences, all of these related, of course, to outreach activities and resources. And so, yeah, it's the same again. You say yes or no if you think it is working well or not. And you can add any comment in the sticky notes as you do so. I see a lot of in-betweens for that last question. So if at any point you want to add something, you can go back to any of the questions and add your sticky note, and that will help us continue to get a picture of your experience of the current set of activities and resources and the way we do things right now. I'll give you a few minutes to finish before summarizing a bit what we can see on the mural, and then move on to the next section, if that's okay with everyone. I can't really see in the room, but is anyone using the physical charts, or has everyone been able to use Mural?
No, Ulisa, it didn't seem there didn't seem so much. I think people said that they were sort of managing. So
good, excellent.
We
as long as we have a few devices working in the room, people should be able to collaborate and add their sticky notes this way. Okay, excellent. So what do we see here? If I'm not looking at what's in the comments, but mostly looking at the main messages, and this is something we will do later on, but you seem to be familiar with quite a lot of activities and resources, given that we have plenty of sticky notes, but you think that the quality and usefulness of the resources is there, like we're getting there, and we have high quality of resources, but some of them are really often used, and it's mostly mine, the one I put there. You collectively think that you don't really use them that often, and is this a problem or not? This is something we can discuss, and if you have any comments about that, feel free to raise your hand. And regarding the goals and strategy, as I said before, it looks like there's a clear strategy and goals, but not necessarily easy to access or understand. So that's something we need to work on probably. And this is really to just brush a very quick picture of what your experience is like. If you wish to take an active role in the activities that we have, you seem to know how to do so, but some people don't. So again, maybe just make sure that accessibility and clarity is good enough for everyone. And for the structure and interfaces of the community, well, it's really an in-between. And this will be very interesting. We will have something else about that later. So we'll go back to that. Is anyone willing or wanting to talk a bit about some of the points? Has this raised some ideas or questions, or should we move on to the next section directly? Okay, looks okay to me. So I just wanted to briefly report on what the partners and collaborators are thinking of us. So we ran a survey that we shared with external partners, and as you see here, those partners are connected to Europlanet in many different ways. Some of them have a very loose connection via other interdependent projects. Other are or have been collaborators, and others are connected to Europlanet mostly as an audience or user of the activities, resources, and services. So when we ask them what they think Europlanet is, and especially talking about the outreach community, they said that Europlanet is a research infrastructure project or organization or society that didn't really know, that aims to promote and support planetary science research in Europe and provide resources and services to the planetary science community, including access to data archives, laboratory facilities, and high-performance computing resources. It also organizes conferences, workshops, and training courses to foster collaboration and innovation in the field. So there's a lot in there, and this is quite important, as you will see. Also, something that came back was that it was EU funded at the moment. This is how, again, it is perceived by those people, not necessarily the entire truth of things. And it is divided into an outreach network and then a scientific global network. I won't go too much on the scientific side and what it's doing, but on the outreach network side, it proposes a large range of educational resources, high standard resources for the outreach community, promotes planetary sciences to diverse audiences across Europe, and it is a hub for planetary science research and engagement in Europe. When asking them about the strengths, weaknesses, and challenges, I wanted to cover that briefly with you before we move on, because this is a bit of a mirror of what you've been doing with your own experience. But the strength is that this is a large network of professionals with diversity and variety of internal expertise and external collaborations. It has somewhat good communications and high standard for resources, well-defined goals, and extensive funding resources. The weaknesses seen by these collaborators, the first one is probably not being seen enough. Several scales were discussed in the survey. First, at the local scale, in participating labs and institutes, some of the partners said that they do not see any of the information that Europlanet is communicating reaching researchers who are not directly linked to the mailing lists. So this could be an issue. It's lacking marketing and dissemination strategies, and it has been highlighted that that Europlanet is sometimes absent at conferences and events, and that is not seen enough that way. This is linked also to the insufficient dissemination of materials and resources, but mostly the weaknesses that I saw coming back in the survey is that it's hard to engage sustainably in its community. There is a limited number of staff in the core of the organization, so things are moving slowly. And the dependence to short-term EU project funding means that there is no long-term planning possible. And this is something this week that we are trying to tackle, and that this is why we need your help. In the challenges, as you see, what I was talking about, the definition, one that came back several times is that Europlanet is probably doing too much. And I don't think it's like doing too much in the sense that it's doing too much, but it's doing too much without the help of the community sometimes. And it can be overwhelming for anyone who wants to be involved to participate, because they see that there are so many projects that they don't know where to start if they want to help. So this probably has to do with the clarity of how you can help too. So quite important here. Among the challenges, engaging the new generation of researchers was one, and it's extremely important both for research and outreach. Keeping the society as a unity with clear goals, clarity and integrity in the actions that Europlanet is doing, and also demonstrating relevance of planetary sciences to the general public. Okay, so now we have a view of our speakers from Europlanet, your own experience, and what external collaborators might have thought about Europlanet. So I would like to go back to getting some of your input here. And here we will do two exercises at the same time, if it's clear enough in the screen. It's 4 and 5. So in your ideas, I would like to collect ideas about the core values. So what values drive or should drive the community. And you see here a matrix again, where we have what we call internally rooted values. So the values that are important to the people participating in the development of the activities, and externally perceived and appreciated values. So these would be things that are important for the public or the audience or people who are the target of the activities. So if I was to give an example here, which is a bit hollow in its concept, so you should try to avoid that and be precise. But if I was to say freedom of the staff or of the people who are participating in the development of the resources, like if I want to create some resources, I want to be very free in how I say things or how I present things. Well, this would be very high for me, but not extremely important for the public to know that I was very free to make the resources. So it's probably somewhere around here. This is about values. So values are important, but we also need goals to move forward. And so alongside values, I would like you to think about what goals should the Europlanet Outreach community aim for in the future. You heard a bit about it with Anita, Didier, and Federica. And those goals I would like them to be sorted with priority. So you can see that we have high priority and low priority ones. It's your opinion there. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it will be then discussed together. And also it's organized for short-term goals in the next 6 months, midterm goals, and long-term goals at 2+ years. Those goals, if possible, should include quantities whenever it's possible. Like here is an example that is not at all related with Europlanet, but securing 3 clients by year 2 is a quantitative goal. So try to think about these kind of goals. Okay, so now I will just stop speaking and let you think a bit about all that. So in the goals, I see teacher trainings here. Sorry, I'm again speaking, but if we wanted to be more precise for something like teacher trainings is, in my opinion, extremely important. But what are we talking about exactly? Is it specific to certain resources or an expertise that Europlanet has? Should it be related to, so for example, the solar system or a specific planet like Mars? Or should it be related to things that are in the curricula and that teachers would want to see? Should it be an online workshop? Should it be an in-person workshop? Should it be a series of tutorial articles or a MOOC, something like that? If you can be specific in the goals that you have, that's way better, because something like teacher trainings can mean almost anything that we can think of in terms of format and topics. Also, if you see a sticky note that you like, you can click on it and you should be able to add a reaction to it. Say that you like something, and this way we can see the ones that have a bit more engagement. I know there's a lot in there, and I don't expect you to be able to do everything at the moment. I'm also discovering your role as I go, so it's still a test in this workshop, and you'll have the rest of the week to play with it. Excellent. As you move on these 2 exercises, because we are running a bit late, I want to introduce the next 2 ones. But again, feel free to move around the mural as you want for the next 5 minutes. I'd like to also ask you to share your ideas regarding actions and recommendations. What are the key axes to focus on to develop new or strengthen existing outreach activities and benefit the community? Again, you have the same matrix: short-term to long-term actions, high priority, low priority. And this is more about what we do. So we have the goals, what we want to achieve, and now it's what we do, how we do things. So you can connect it to the goals and you can connect it to the values. We want to achieve something with a certain set of values. So how do we do it? And of course, as it was said multiple times, you are taking over. So we are asking you how you would like to contribute, how you will be able to contribute. And here the matrix is something that is really interesting for you, and how much engagement or effort you can provide. And you can put your name, and you can put, if you're interested in a specific thing, like working in communications with us, then you can add communications and your name and put it wherever you think applies to you.
I just
Yes.
wonder whether for the last few minutes whether you know whether we can maybe just have a few just general discussions, not online,
Yes.
just so that we can kind of. There's been lots and lots of points made here, and we've got some real experts in the room. So if people would like to share anything, then you are very, very welcome to do so. So microphone people.
Good point, Anita. Because again, this template will be available for the rest of the week. So as you move along in your discussions, you will be free to add things wherever you feel it's appropriate. The last point I just want help with is having volunteers to help write a report of this workshop at the end of the week once we have collected all the data, and start writing a white paper roadmap. So if you are willing to do that with us, you can add your name here, and we will be contacting you afterwards. But yeah, as you go, just have also some time to ask questions or discuss.
Nigel? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, great, and it's good to see this such a well-populated session. I just want to point out two other things that when we talk about outreach and we think about all education and schools and everything else, the idea of being able to get our ideas about what we're doing over to other stakeholders, and that includes really important ones like the European Parliament and MEPs, some of the things which you develop and some of the ideas and ways you have in putting complicated messages over, they're very necessary for that type of audience as well. And I think this is something we should look at, the overlap between the outreach and the policy. And just about the point that Anita made at the beginning, that Europlanet has always been committed to this and tried to support people. For the early career people, you really can't write a grant application now for any fellowship without some of this sort of material being in it. And being able to demonstrate in an interview that you've done it is really important part of an interview process, as I'll be talking about on Wednesday. So, we all have to do it. But for early career people trying to get those fellowships, this is really important.
Yeah, go for it.
Just some advertisement, because before you were speaking of the soapbox sign. So this Saturday, the 24th, we will have I think it's the 4th edition in the meanwhile of the soapbox signs in Brussels. So if whoever passed by, it will be near the central station. And yeah, so we will have 12 wonderful women and non-binary speakers presenting the research to the general public.
And I really, really encourage you all to tell us what you're doing. I mean, we can put up a poster board here so that you can pin things if you would like, but also, on Hoover, share and share away, because one of the benefits of having everybody here is to meet each other, is to find out what each other are doing. There's, I know some of you, and I know the imagination that kind of goes with some of that, but we can all learn, we can all benefit from those connections. So let's use this opportunity of this week to kind of find out about these things.
I would like to add something that maybe is related to the regional hubs as well. I think we are very good at evaluating the quality of the activities that we do. I mean, we have many tools to understand if things can be done better, if they are done at the maximum. I think we need to work, and this is also goes in policy communication. I think we should work on quantity evaluation. This is very hard because we are spread all over Europe, but when we develop an activity, we should be able to have a number, how many students have used that activity all over Europe. This is very hard because it's hard to track around different countries, around different platforms, how the activity has been distributed, how much it has been used. But I think if we want to communicate with policymakers, I think the numbers, quantitative information is much more powerful for a policymaker, for example, than quantitative information. So maybe we should put some effort in trying to develop tools that help us evaluate this kind of things.
Absolutely.
And regional hubs maybe could help on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And those things are the side by side as well, that things may be high quality, but they may not be effective because
I mean,
for whatever reason, that if they can't get out there, then they're not being effective. So, you know, those two things are absolutely critical and need to be looked at. You're absolutely right, together. And I think the other thing as well is that evaluation, we often kind of think that we only share that when things go well, and we don't share things when things go badly. I heard a really great presentation by Dr. Becky, who's a YouTube person at the Royal Astronomical Society earlier this year, and she was talking about day in the life videos and videos that she created to try and reach young women working in STEM. And she's finding it increasingly difficult to understand how the YouTube algorithms work and how to pitch and how to develop her content so that it actually reached the right people. And she told a really good story about deciding that she was going to do a whole series around Taylor Swift songs because Taylor Swift's album had all kinds of astronomical references in it. So she did this series of short YouTube videos, and it completely bombed. It got almost no views whatsoever because the YouTube algorithm saw the astronomy content and it thought only old men are interested in astronomy. And so she got a lot of older men finding Taylor Swift music for the first time, and not really reaching the young women that she was aiming for in doing these things. So, you know, it's things like that. It's the learning experience. You know, I had this, I thought it was going to be a great idea, and it was just a complete disaster. Is always really, really useful, and you know, can be quite entertaining, and is something I think that we is quite a good thing that we can kind of generate that discussion within the community. Sorry, Elif.
Anita.
Yeah.
Just a comment for the future actions and activities, because we need funding. So with the ISBL being created now, we are a legal entity. We can go to the Commission, be recognized partner with funding to projects. If you want to focus on outreach activities, those are not the projects to which scientists we are used to go. It's completely other. There are projects like that funded by the community, but then the next question would be, how do we get the correct partners? Because Commission means partnering, and you can't go alone. How do we find those partners to go to the Commission to projects which are focused on outreach?
I think that's a really good question, and it's really challenging because I mean, one of the biggest problems with proposals is that this tends to be the thing that comes in right at the end. Everybody spends a lot of time writing the first section, section 1 on scientific excellence, and then they've got a week, 10 days to write the impact section, which has equal marks, and then they go, oh, we don't know what we're going to do. We've got 10,000 euros left. Yeah, solve, get my project funded. And so then you end up making ludicrous claims about what you're going to be able to do with 10,000 euros. It's not properly resourced, it's not properly thought out. And either you end up not doing any of it, or as we had, are any of my colleagues from the Explore project here? So the Explore project is a machine learning project. You'll find out more about it on Thursday when we've got the machine learning and the GMAP sessions. But we kind of wrote a lot of things in it about things that we were going to do and running data challenges and all the rest of it. And we ended up with a reviewer who A, really read the proposal, and B, was really enthusiastic about outreach. And so we got held to all of this. And, you know, he was really interested, really enthusiastic, but, you know, we made that commitment to do it, and we had to do it within the resources we have. So we've done our best, but you have to be careful about these things. So my main feedback from often being asked right at the last minute, what do we do, is do not think about it at the last minute. Think about it at the same time. Section 2, impact, same number of marks as scientific excellence. So it needs the same amount of thought. You cannot do it at the end. And also you cannot do it independently. Just bolting on random outreach proposals onto a scientific platform isn't going to work. It's not good for you. It's a waste of everybody's time and effort and resources. So that conversation needs to happen at the start. Now, there are specialist companies, and Lothar, who has been involved in setting up one on behalf of Europlanet, actually was in the room and now isn't, but he's one person. There are other ones like Nucleo and there's many organizations that do these things. There are people like Federica and Livia that have enormous amounts of expertise. Obviously there's Elise and Lecturers Without Borders who do amazing things, but but we were talking this morning about putting in proposals and getting the consortium right. When you are putting together your consortium, then you need to bring those people who look at not just education and outreach, but the other things that we've been talking about, like policy and evaluation and impact, that all and diversity, equity and inclusion, and widening participation, geographical participation, all the rest of it. All of that needs to be there in the beginning, part of the conversation when you're actually defining the budget, so that you do it properly, so that we all do it properly, and we end up with something a bit more doable and sensible, and with actual benefit and use to the wider community.
Just two things on that. First of all, also we must be aware that what we do in outreach, there are many other astronomy groups, and we'll be meeting some of them on Thursday, who look at stars, looks at exoplanets, etc. A lot of the outreach stuff with schools and so on overlaps with them, and we will be working with them in the future, because many practitioners in the room here, you know, probably aren't just little cubbyhole of just planetary science. They probably also work in other areas of astronomy, however we define that. And as for funding, there are some first attempts now to go into the area of crowdfunding, and we shouldn't neglect that, because people are having success at getting these sort of projects and related projects, and indeed science projects, funded through the crowdfunding route, and that's certainly something which we should look at.
Nadia.
Yes, I remember, I think it was last year, March or February, that you had a short workshop for an hour or two about how to write a proposal, especially the outreach section. Maybe you could rearrange for a second meeting, or if that was recorded, to send us the video, because I found it very, very interesting and helpful. And
the impact page. That is a huge pain to write for every proposal.
It is really difficult. I think it is really difficult, and it's not something that can be done. Even if you work on it, it is really challenging to actually come out with something that is meaningful and not a load of whatever. It is really challenging. So we do have that. We could do it again. In fact, we should do it again because we've learned a lot since then, having done a Horizon Europe proposal. So we definitely should do it again. And this is another thing, back to all of this, is that we have all kinds of stuff. We have all kinds of webinars. We have all kinds of training that Livia and Federica have done, that Ariana has done, that many people, Edita and so on, have done over the years. That is all really good and really valuable information. And Claudia, all of those things, that, not necessarily with the Europlanet hat on, but it relates in the community, like the interviews with outreach providers, where they kind of talk through what they do and share that kind of best practice. I think really one of the things that we really face is how we present all this and how we make it accessible and how we can create something within our portal that highlights these things. And same challenge, back to the challenges from this morning, it's the same for training and other materials. We need to dig into it and find a way to leaven it, aerate it like soil. But how we do that, I really don't know. But I am also aware that we are running out of time. So I'm going to hand back to Elise, who is moderating this session. And thank him very much for putting together all of this amazing work that will be incredibly useful for us in pulling this forward. So can you give Elise a round of applause, please, for all of...
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Anita, for managing to get a bit of discussion during this session. I really envisioned this session to be an introduction to the whole week. And now that you know everyone in the chat online and everyone in the room also, you to look to your left and to your right, see the faces and be ready to talk with these people during the week and try to continue the conversation. So for that, the mural will be available until the end of the week, so you can continue contributing to it. If you feel that you have a magical idea or something very important that wasn't in there, you can review it during the week. Please do not delete anything. I will archive that version, but do not delete anything that was already contributed on the mural. I have created in Whova a community post that is called, let me just share it with you over here. Workshop Roadmap Outreach Community. So I will share the link here again, and feel free to add anything you like here and continue the conversation online also, so that online participants can follow up with you too. With all that, I thank you very much. If you have any feedback, you can also add it here at any point. If you think this kind of session is useful, I already have added, would have liked to have more time, because this is personal feeling, but it's already been great. Thank you all for your motivation and for filling in this mural. I mean, it was empty and now there are plenty of sticky notes everywhere, so that's great. And I wish you all an excellent week.
Okay, just to let everybody know, I think in the next session in this room is the Europlanet Telescope Network first session, which is on solar system observations, is it? Solar system, yeah, good. And downstairs in the Huber Lounge, we have Let's Learn with AstroEdu. Okay, enjoy your coffee.